I stood in front of the bathroom mirror of my new countryside home, gently wiping the happy tears that had slipped down my aging cheeks. At 69, after nearly half a century of marriage and 2 long, lonely years grieving my husband's death, I had finally done something bold, something entirely for me. This little house, surrounded by open fields and dotted with a few wildflowers, was the first place in my life that belonged solely to me. I ran my fingers along the freshly painted cream-colored wall, breathing in the scent of new wood mixed with the fragrance of morning air drifting through the open window. I had spent nearly my entire life savings, just $5,000 I had saved penny by penny. No vacations, no luxuries, no new clothes unless absolutely necessary. But the moment I stepped inside this house, I knew every sacrifice had been worth it. This morning, I had breakfast in my tiny kitchen while listening to birds singing outside. I watered the few potted plants I bought in town and imagined where I'd place my rocking chair, the one I'd sit on to read in the evenings. Everything felt peaceful. Everything felt earned. I was in the middle of arranging my clothes in the master bedroom closet when my phone buzzed. Seeing my daughter Rebecca's name on the screen brought a smile to my face, even though I knew she didn't approve of me buying this house. "Mom, it's unnecessary," she'd complained before. "You should stay near us." Near us, but never really with them. Still, I answered the call with motherly excitement. "Hello, sweetheart." Her voice came sharp and impatient. "Mom, listen, we're on the way. In 1 hour, we're arriving with about 20 people from David's family. Get the rooms ready and make lunch. We'll be staying for 2 weeks." The world didn't just pause. Something inside me cracked. I held the phone tighter as my heart thudded painfully in my chest. 20? I whispered. "Rebecca, I just moved in. I have no food, no space." "Oh, Mom, don't start. It's family. And David's cousin Emily is bringing her 4 kids. His brother Noah is coming with his twins. And the aunts. They all need a place to stay. Your house is perfect. But this house isn't big enough." "No excuses," she said sharply. "We're already driving. Make sure there are towels for everyone, okay? And the kids want to swim in the lake, so prepare snacks for later. See you soon." The call ended before I could protest. I stared at my small 2-bedroom house. Where would 20 people sleep? On the floor? In the living room that barely fit a sofa? My refrigerator was nearly empty. 3 eggs, a little milk, 2 tomatoes. My pantry had rice, beans, and a few basic items. Enough for me, not for an army. But the worst part wasn't the impossible task. It was knowing that my feelings, wishes, and limits meant absolutely nothing to my own daughter. Once again, she had made decisions on my behalf, as if I were simply an extension of her convenience. I lowered myself onto my new bed, the one I had chosen with so much hope, and felt tears rise again, not from joy this time, but from a familiar, hollow ache. If only I knew, this was just the beginning. But what happened when the cars finally pulled into my driveway is something I will never forget. I sat on the edge of my new bed, trying to calm the storm inside me. The house was so quiet, it felt unreal, as if everything around me were holding its breath. In less than an hour, this peaceful sanctuary I had dreamed of for years would be invaded by 20 people who saw me not as a mother or elder deserving respect, but as a free hotel and unlimited labor. My eyes drifted to the window, where the sunlight touched the small garden outside. Just this morning, I had imagined tending to those plants every day. Now I wondered if they would even survive the chaos that was coming. I forced myself to stand, though my legs felt weak. I went to the kitchen and opened the refrigerator again, hoping I had missed something, anything, that could feed so many people. But the reality was still brutally clear. 3 eggs, a bit of cheese, a few tomatoes, milk that wouldn't last the day, not even enough plates for a meal, let alone a banquet. My mind raced. I would have to drive to town. I grabbed my purse, praying there was enough money left after buying the house and furniture. When I opened my wallet, my heart dropped. Only $300. And that money had to last me the entire month. Still, I got in the car and drove, my hands gripping the wheel until my knuckles turned white. The drive felt endless. I tried to swallow the knot growing in my throat, telling myself I could manage, but deep down I knew I couldn't. At the small-town supermarket, I hurried through the aisles, grabbing the cheapest foods I could find. Rice, beans, pasta, canned vegetables, tomato sauce, bread. Nothing special, nothing expensive, just things that could stretch. The total at checkout? $240. My heart felt like it had shriveled into a stone. That was almost everything I had left. Everything. Driving home, my fingers trembled around the steering wheel. I kept seeing my daughter's face in my mind, her sharp tone, her demands, her sense of entitlement. She had grown into a person who believed that my life existed for her convenience, and her husband's family believed the same. As I turned onto my street, dust swirled behind my car. My mind was spinning. How did I become this person, the one who sacrificed everything to please people who didn't care? And then I saw them. 3 large vehicles parked in front of my house, doors flying open, children screaming with excitement, adults laughing loudly, already grabbing coolers and bags. It looked less like a family visit and more like a tourist group arriving at a resort. One woman, Emily, my son-in-law's cousin, stepped out holding a crying baby. Without hesitation, she called out, "Aunt Mary, what a cute house! I hope you made enough food because we're starving." No greeting, no thank you, no acknowledgement of the burden they brought. Then Noah, David's brother, clapped me on the back as if we were old buddies. "Mother-in-law, perfect vacation spot. Is lunch ready?" Lunch? I hadn't even taken the groceries out of the car. Then Rebecca approached, smiling as if she owned the place. "Mom, did you prepare the bedrooms? Emily and her kids will take the master bedroom since the baby cries at night. We'll sleep in the other room. The rest can use the living room." My bedroom. My sanctuary. Just handed over like it meant nothing. Something inside me didn't just crack, it sparked. And that spark, though small, was the beginning of everything that came next. I walked back into the kitchen like someone moving underwater, every sound around me muffled by shock. The pots on the stove trembled in my unsteady hands as I set them down. 20 people, most of whom I barely knew, were now wandering around my house as if they had every right to be there. And all I could think about was the tiny spark inside me that had flickered when Rebecca claimed my bedroom as if it were hers. I unpacked the groceries as quickly as I could. There was no time to think. They were already demanding food. My hands moved automatically, washing vegetables, opening cans, boiling water. The kitchen filled with heat and steam, while I tried to stretch a small amount of food into something passable for 20 people. With every slice of a tomato, every stir of a pot, frustration grew inside me. Memories from the past years resurfaced, times when Rebecca and David treated my old apartment like a public convenience. They arrived unannounced, ate my groceries, used my things, left messes everywhere, and acted as if I should be grateful for their presence. And here they were again, only worse. Voices echoed from the living room. "Mary, we're hungry. Is it done yet? Do you have anything besides rice?" I clenched my jaw and kept cooking, even though tears blurred my vision. Not from the onions this time. After nearly 40 minutes of scrambling, I finally served what little I had been able to prepare, but the plates ran out after 8 servings. I stood there, humiliated, using cups, small bowls, even the lid of a pot to serve the rest. The shame burned inside me like fire. Noah looked at his small portion with disappointment. "This is it?" he asked. "I thought you'd at least make some meat." Before I could speak, David chimed in with a patronizing tone. "It's okay, Mary. We get it. You weren't prepared. But maybe next time, try a little harder. We're family, after all." Family. The word sounded like chains. "And where are the kids going to play? Do you have video games? Wi-Fi? Cable?" I forced a smile. "I just moved in, sweetheart. I haven't set those things up yet." The child frowned, disappointed. "So what are we supposed to do for 2 weeks? This is boring." Boring? My home, my dream, reduced to boring? Before I could respond, Emily dragged a diaper bag toward me and dropped it on the table. "Mary, I need boiled water for the baby's bottle, and wash these clothes. He made a mess last night. Also, could you pick up more diapers and formula in town this afternoon? I didn't bring enough for 2 weeks." 2 weeks. Her list felt heavier than the bag she shoved at me. I took a breath. "Emily, I don't know if I can—" "Come on," she interrupted casually. "They're basic things. You can afford it. You just bought a house." Afford it? If only they knew how close I was to being broke. The children then burst into the garden, running and shrieking. I rushed to the window just in time to see one of them crush the small tomato plants I had lovingly planted that morning. "Kids, careful please," I called out. "Oh, relax," Noah yelled back. "They're just plants. They can grow again." But something in me told me that I wouldn't. And it was the next morning, when I woke on the sofa with aching bones, that the spark inside me finally began to burn. The next morning, I woke before dawn, my back throbbing from the cramped sofa I'd been forced to sleep on. My bedroom, my safe little haven, was now occupied by Emily and her baby. I pushed myself up slowly, every muscle protesting. I had barely slept 3 hours, because the house never truly went silent. Children had cried half the night, adults had been loud, and the living room floor was littered with bags, shoes, toys, and scattered crumbs. I shuffled to the kitchen, desperate for coffee, only to find Noah already rummaging through my refrigerator with zero hesitation. "Morning, Mary," he muttered, pulling things out without asking. "Where's the cereal? And we need milk. My kids won't eat without cereal. Also, we're running low on snacks." I don't have cereal," I said quietly. He turned to me as if I had announced that water no longer existed. "What do you mean you don't have cereal? What are we supposed to give the kids?" Before I could answer, Emily entered with her crying baby. "Mary, I need you to boil water for his bottle and wash these clothes. He made a mess last night, but this time it was—" Emily," I said gently, "I didn't know you'd need so many things. Maybe you—" "Oh, Mary!" she interrupted with a laugh. "Don't be dramatic. You have a washing machine. It's easier to wash clothes here. And boil the water quickly. The baby's hungry." The children arrived next, rubbing their sleepy eyes and immediately asking, "Grandma,
What's for breakfast? I'm starving. Can we have omelets, pancakes? I swallowed hard. I had exactly 6 eggs left. I can make scrambled eggs, I offered weakly. For 20 people? Noah scoffed. That won't work. We'll have to go to town and get real food. But come on, hurry up. We can't make the kids wait all morning. We? He spoke as if we shared a bank account, as if I was already drowning in their demands. And then came Rebecca, perfectly rested, hair brushed, walking down from my bedroom like she owned the place. "Good morning, Mom," she said sweetly. "Is breakfast ready? David hates waiting." I took a breath. "Rebecca, I don't have enough food for—" "We talked about this yesterday. You need to plan better. We're a big family. Go to town again and buy everything we need. It's only logical." David appeared behind her. "Mother-in-law, bring some cigarettes and beer, too. Oh, and charcoal for a barbecue. We want to grill tomorrow." Cigarettes, beer, charcoal, meat, more diapers, formula, snacks, cereal, milk. All with money I didn't have. Then Paul joined in from the living room. "Mary, for the barbecue, we should invite the nearby relatives too. We'll need meat for around 30 people. Don't forget that." Meat for 30 people. I did a quick mental calculation. It would cost more than my remaining savings. Rebecca crossed her arms. "And don't be stingy, Mom. This is a family gathering." Something inside me shifted. Not a spark this time, a flame. I was exhausted, broke, disrespected, used, and fed up. It was in that moment, standing in my own kitchen surrounded by demands, that I made a decision that would change everything. I stood in the center of my own kitchen, surrounded by voices demanding more, 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 as if I were a servant, not a 69-year-old woman who had given her entire life to her family. Their words bounced around my head like stones. "Buy this. You have money. Don't be dramatic. You should do more." The flame inside me grew hotter. I felt it in my chest, in my throat, in the trembling of my hands. For the first time in years, something other than fear took over. "I'll go," I said calmly. Everyone went silent, surprised at my sudden agreement. "I'll go to town and get what you asked for." 20 relieved faces turned toward me, believing they had won again, believing I was still the same woman they could push, guilt, and pressure into anything. But this time, they were wrong. I took my purse, pulled on my coat, and walked out the door without a single glance back. My heart was pounding, my mind racing, but for the first time in a long while, it wasn't from anxiety. It was clarity. As soon as I sat in the car, I released a long, shaky breath. The silence of the moment wrapped around me gently. No babies crying, no adults shouting, no one treating me like an object. Just me, and the decision I had just made. But instead of heading straight to the supermarket, I drove somewhere else. A small cafe I'd spotted the day before sat at the corner of the main street. I parked, walked in, and ordered a real cup of coffee. Strong, hot, and comforting. Something I hadn't done in years without someone else criticizing or rushing me. The waitress, noticing the exhaustion on my face, asked, "Rough day?" I gave a tired smile. "It's been a rough few years, actually." "Family trouble?" she guessed. The words hit deeper than expected. "You have no idea," I murmured. After finishing my coffee, something compelled me to walk down the road. I wasn't sure what I was looking for. Not until I saw the sign. Jeremy Stone, attorney at law. I froze in front of the door. Would a lawyer even listen to something like this? Would he take me seriously? But the flame inside me whispered, "Go in." So I did.
Jeremy, a middle-aged man with kind eyes, welcomed me in and asked, "How can I help you today?" And for the next hour, I explained everything, from Rebecca's demands to the 20 uninvited guests, to the financial strain, to the emotional pressure. Every detail, every humiliation, every moment of being used. For the first time in years, something other than fear took over. When I finished, Jeremy leaned forward and spoke calmly but firmly. "Ma'am, what you're describing is not family visiting. It's financial exploitation and emotional abuse. And you're allowed to set boundaries. Legally." "Legally?" I repeated softly. "Yes, it's your home, your property, your money. You have every right to control who stays there and under what terms." He helped me draft a document, simple but powerful, a lodging agreement that outlined daily charges for rooms, food, utilities, and services, not because I wanted money, but because I needed my dignity back. When I left his office holding those papers, I felt taller, lighter, stronger, and I knew exactly what I was going to do. But nothing prepared them for what I walked back into the house carrying in my hand. I drove home with 2 grocery bags sitting on the passenger seat. Nothing extravagant, nothing special, just the basics. Rice, beans, pasta, a few vegetables, bare essentials. Exactly $50 worth of food. The rest of my money? Protected. The rest of my strength? Finally awakening. But it wasn't the groceries that mattered. It was the folder sitting quietly on my lap, thin, ordinary looking, but holding the power to change everything. By the time I pulled into my driveway, I could already see the irritation on their faces through the window. David, Rebecca, Noah, Emily, everyone was gathered in the living room like a group waiting for room service that was running late. When I stepped inside, 20 pairs of eyes landed on me. Finally, Rebecca snapped, "Mom, where on earth have you been? The kids are starving. And where's the meat, the beer, the diapers, the charcoal, the cereal?" I set the small grocery bags on the table. "I bought the basics," I said calmly. "Food enough so no one goes hungry." Emily frowned. "What about everything else?" "I didn't buy it." A stunned silence fell on the room. For the first time since they arrived, they didn't have a snappy comeback ready. Noah spoke first, frowning. "What do you mean you didn't buy it? We told you we needed those things." "And I told you," I replied evenly, "that I don't have the money." Rebecca scoffed. "Mom, stop pretending. You bought a whole house. You clearly have savings." I reached into my bag and pulled out my bank statements, crisp papers printed earlier that day at the bank. "These," I said, placing them on the table, "are all the funds I have left." They passed the papers around, their expressions shifting from annoyance to confusion to disbelief to irritation again. David shook his head. "So what? You should still help your family. This is just how it works." "Correct," I said, pulling out the second folder, "which is why I prepared this." I placed the lodging contract on the table. "This house," I continued steadily, "is my property. If you want to stay here, these are the commercial rates for food, lodging, utilities, and services." Rebecca's face drained of color. "Mom, what is this?" "Terms," I said. "Fair terms." I read out loud. $100 per room per night. $50 per person per day for meals. $20 per person per day for utilities and services. In the last 48 hours, the total amount owed is $2,800. The room might as well have exploded. Voices erupted all at once. "You're insane! You're charging your own family? You've lost your mind! How dare you? We're not paying you a single cent." But their shouting didn't penetrate me anymore. The invisible wall around my heart had finally solidified. Rebecca grabbed the papers in outrage. "Are you seriously doing this? To us?" I met her eyes calmly. "I'm offering you 3 choices. Pay the commercial rates, pay the basic rate I negotiated,
or find your own lodging. Every jaw in the room dropped. Emily sputtered. This is ridiculous. I smiled slightly. Then leaving will be the easiest option. But what happened next, I never expected. A neighbor walked in and changed everything.
Their shouting was filling the entire house when a soft knock came at the open door. No one noticed at first. Everyone was too busy yelling, pointing fingers, accusing me of betrayal, selfishness, even insanity. But I noticed. Standing at the doorway was a woman holding a basket of vegetables, her silver hair tied neatly behind her and a warm, knowing smile on her face. I recognized her from the house next door, my new neighbor. "Hello there," she said cheerfully. "I'm Martha. I live just down the road. I thought I'd come welcome you properly." Then her eyes flicked around the chaotic scene. Oh dear, looks like I arrived in the middle of something. Before I could speak, Emily rolled her eyes. "It's just a family discussion, private." Martha stepped inside calmly, unfazed by the tension. "Ah, families. They can be overwhelming sometimes, especially when there's a big group visiting. Must be expensive to host so many people." The room fell silent. It was incredible how quickly the lies and entitlement dried up in the presence of a stranger. "Expensive?" Noah repeated, forcing a laugh. "Well, of course it is," Martha continued, smiling innocently. "My daughter visits often, but she always brings groceries and helps with chores. She says it's not fair for me to spend my pension on them." A few of them shifted uncomfortably. She looked around the room again, then at me. "You're hosting, what, 15? 20? 20, I said quietly. Martha's eyebrows shot up. 20? My goodness, that must be a lot. To cook for, clean for, provide bedding for, utilities. Surely they're helping with the costs." Her tone was kind, but her eyes were sharp. Rebecca stammered. We were planning to contribute something symbolic," Paul cut in quickly. Martha gave a polite nod. "How lovely, though symbolic contributions for 20 people sounds a bit uneven, unless Mary is secretly wealthy," she added with a playful glance at me. I shook my head. "I'm not wealthy. I only have $300 left to last the month." Their faces drained again, this time because someone neutral had heard the truth. Martha's expression softened. "Oh, sweetheart, then you absolutely shouldn't be supporting 20 adults and children." The silence that followed was a blow no one expected. "Anyway," Martha continued, "I only came to give you some vegetables from my garden, and to say, if you need any help, or if these people start giving you trouble, we neighbors look out for each other." She said the last part while looking directly at Rebecca, then at David. Rebecca bristled. "This is a family matter. Please don't interfere." Martha didn't budge. Family or not, elder exploitation is everyone's business. The room froze. No insult, no excuse, no manipulation from my daughter could undo that statement. Martha squeezed my hand gently. "You call me if you need anything, all right? Anything at all." Then she gave my family a polite nod and left, leaving the weight of her words hanging in the air like a verdict. As soon as the door closed, 20 accusing eyes snapped back at me, but this time their power was fading. They weren't the ones in control anymore. But their attempt to regain power, to guilt me, shame me, even threaten me, was the moment I finally put my foot down, hard. The moment Martha stepped outside, the atmosphere in my living room changed instantly. Her calm presence had cracked something open, exposing what my family had been trying to hide behind loud voices and entitled behavior.
and they did not like it. As soon as the door clicked shut, Rebecca snatched up the contract again and slapped it against the table. "Mom, how could you let that woman embarrass us like that? You made us look like beggars." I looked her straight in the eye. "I didn't have to make you look like anything. Your actions spoke for themselves." Noah threw his hands up. "This is unbelievable. Charging your own family for staying with you? What kind of mother does that?" "A mother who's tired of being used." Emily stood there, rocking her baby dramatically, as if she were starring in a tragic play. "You're really going to turn us away with a newborn? You can't be that cruel." "Emily, you dropped your baby's dirty laundry on my table and demanded I wash it? Then you handed me a shopping list that could bankrupt a small business. That isn't love. That's taking advantage." She gasped, pretending to be wounded, though the look in her eyes told me she was furious I had said it out loud. David chimed in next, arms crossed like a schoolyard bully. "You're forgetting something. We're the only family you have left. You push us away now, that's on you." "Good," I replied, "because I'd rather be alone with peace than surrounded by noise and disrespect." He wasn't expecting that. His mouth snapped shut. Paul attempted the guilt trip. "Mary, your husband loved us. He considered us important. Would he want you to treat his family this way?" I felt a pang at the mention of my late husband, but then came clarity. "My husband," I said slowly, "respected me, and he would have thrown every one of you out the second you started treating me like free labor." Silence. Rebecca's lips trembled in indignation. "You've changed, Mom. You used to do anything for us." "I shouldn't have," I said softly. "That was my mistake." A few of the kids wandered in, rubbing their eyes, confused by the tension. "Grandma, are we still staying?" the youngest asked timidly. Before I could speak, Noah snapped, "Go pack your things." That was the moment the truth finally hit all of them. They weren't winning this one. They scattered around the house, grabbing belongings, slamming drawers, stuffing clothes into bags. Some were muttering insults under their breath, others were whispering about how ungrateful I was. Rebecca stormed over to me, her eyes blazing. "You'll regret this. One day you'll need us and no one will come." I met her anger with calm. If needing help means being treated like this, then I'd rather manage alone. Minutes later, they filed out of my front door. 20 people, 20 storms of resentment, piling into their cars without a thank you, without a hug, without a shred of accountability. As the last car rolled down the driveway, the house grew quiet. The good kind of quiet. The kind of quiet I had bought this house for. I closed the door gently and leaned against it, letting the silence soak in. For the first time in years, I felt alive. But I had no idea that the months after their departure would transform my life in ways I never imagined.
The days after they drove away felt unreal at first. Not because I missed them, but because the house was finally silent. No shouting, no demands, no banging cabinets, no crying babies or loud adults. Just the hum of my little refrigerator and the soft rustle of wind moving through the fields outside. For the first time in years, the quiet felt like a blessing instead of loneliness. That evening, after everyone had left, Martha knocked gently on my door again. She held a warm casserole dish and a kind smile. "I figured you wouldn't want to cook after all that," she said. I laughed, a genuine laugh I hadn't heard from my own mouth in months. "Thank you," I said, "for everything, for stepping in earlier." She waved her hand, as if brushing away dust. "Oh, honey, I didn't do anything special.
I just said what needed to be said. We sat on my porch, eating stew and rice, watching the last streaks of sunset fade over the fields. And for the first time since buying the house, I felt something settle inside me, something strong and steady. Peace. 6 months later, my life looked nothing like the chaotic mess it used to be. My garden flourished, my mornings were filled with birdsong and fresh air. I had joined a painting class in town and made friends. Real friends. Not people who used me for favors. I even began selling small watercolor postcards at the farmer's market. It wasn't much, but it felt good to create something. Mine. Martha became like a sister. Some evenings we'd sit together snapping green beans or talking about our pasts. She told me about her children, who treated her with love and respect, and how she learned to set boundaries early on. "You're late," she always joked, "but better late than never." And she was right. But Rebecca, of course, she called. Always when she needed something. "Mom, can you lend us money? We're short this month." "Mom, can you watch the kids?" "Mom, can you fix this, buy that, solve this problem?" At first, she reacted the way she always did. Anger, guilt, threats. But eventually, she realized something. I was not the same mother she used to control. Now, every time she asked, I answered gently but firmly. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. I can't help with that." The first few times, she yelled. The next few times, she cried. Now, she simply hangs up. But each time I said no, I felt myself grow stronger. My daughter still hasn't learned the difference between love and obligation, but perhaps one day she will. And if she ever comes back with sincere intentions, my heart will still be open, just not unprotected. And me? I wake up each day with a sense of freedom I never thought possible at 69. I drink my coffee on the porch while the sun warms my skin. I tend to my garden, which now grows peppers, herbs, tomatoes, and fresh flowers. I read books again, something I had abandoned during years of stress. And in the quiet of my home, I sometimes whisper to my late husband, I finally did it. I finally chose myself. For the first time in my life, I am living, not just surviving.